Catholic comic books exist. They're out there. It's not many, but are they good? There's many Christian characters out there, as you can see with Daredevil, Nightcrawler, Azrael, Power Mark, the Phantom Phoenix. But there's also a lot of other comic books made with the Christian teaching purpose, but also be entertaining. Today I'll be going over two books, The Adventures of Lupio, Book 1, and The Truth Is Out There, Volume 1. Both these books are available, and I have found them at Catholic bookstores that have a kids section, but you can also buy them online if there is no store that sells them near you, and I'll be going over them so you can decide if you would like to buy these books for your kids that like to read comics, or so you can help them learn with characters that have good morals. The Adventures of Lupio is a Catholic kids comic book written by Deacon Jean Francois Kiefer, which I'm pretty sure I mispronounced that. I'll be going to read a quick summary of both chapter 2 and 3. There are 7 chapters in this book, but I don't want to spoil every story. So, on to chapter 2. If anyone wants to follow me, he must deny himself, pick up his cross, and follow me. Matthew 16:24. This is the lesson of chapter 2 titled The Cross. While walking with Francis after his sermon, the both meet some knights taking up their cross to free Christ's tomb in the Crusades. Lupio finds himself inspired and wanting to be a knight and carry his cross. When asking Francis about the Crusades, he redirects them to his friend Orlando, who is a knight that has returned from the Holy Land. When Lupio meets Orlando, he's tending to the sick and wounded from the valley and the Crusades. Orlando then shows Lupio his old gear. He asks Orlando if he no longer bears the cross. Orlando replies he still does, even if it is not obvious, for now he tends to Christ's knights. He then asks about the adventure and glory, does he miss it? And Orlando reminds him that you must deny yourself and pick up the cross. He then gives him his old belt, so he remembers these words every morning. While traveling with Brother Wolf, Lupio finds a small home in the woods with a broken down shed. He promises the old lady that lives there that he will rebuild it, and in return, some shelter and food. After a month passes, he has finished rebuilding the shed, and as thanks, the old lady gives him her husband's instrument, a lute. When he returns with Francis, being confused, he asks why the old lady has nothing yet gave him something sentimental. Francis says that the woman reminds him of a lady from the Gospels of Mark 12:41-44, where Jesus observes the crowd put money into the treasury. Many rich people put in large sums, and the poor widow also came and put into a small coin worth a few cents. He said to the disciples, "This poor widow put more than all the others, for they gave from their surplus, while she, from her poverty, gave all she had, her whole livelihood, giving the lesson that the greatest wealth is to know how to give." The Adventures of Lupio, Volume 1, is a great book for kids who like comics and adventure stories. The art is good for the story inside, and my favorite part is every time it quotes scripture, it tells you where it got it from, which all books that quote scripture need to have. This is only volume 1 of 8, so there's plenty more books to read, and lastly, there is music inside, so I tried playing them, but I'm terrible at music, so I got someone who I know can play it. Please enjoy. The Truth Is Out There, published by Catholic Answers and written by, well, I don't know. I can't find the writer or the artist. The only thing I can say is who published it. and that's Catholic Answers. But I can't give you summaries of the chapters. This book has so much potential, but what kills it is the fact that it's boring to look at and read. I tried reading it, and I couldn't get past the first chapter, and my dad was only able to read half of chapter 1. It's not the art that's the problem, it's just the pacing and paneling. It looks too cluttered. Another problem is the fact that 90% of the panels are from the same angle. There's nothing going on, and you might think to yourself, well, they're talking in a cafe. There is no action going on. Well, I will redraw a page for you and show you how it can be fixed. Okay, so this is like the most unorganized part of the video. So first, actually, let me get to what I'm adapting. It's page 7. So it's this page. And a lot of panels for the page. And as you can see, it doesn't really get better. It just stays that way. Sometimes it does get better, like here. But it just stays that way. Same angle, a lot of text each time, and it just looks overwhelming. It gets tiring to look at. So, how did I reimagine it, I guess? First, also before talking about what I did, I understand that it's kind of disrespectful to do this. I just want to show that I want this to be improved so it can be sold and people will actually want to read it and kids can actually read it, because this is too many panels. There should have, it should be remastered is what I want to say, and I don't mean this in a I can do better than you way. I'm just doing this in a way of I want to show how it can be done. So first I wrote down the script of everything that was said. I tried to organize it in panels. Right there, I organized it to the page. And I decided to use the characters of Luce and friends. So think of it like kind of like a play. So you can still see some construction lines. And keep this in mind. Keep all of this. And this is what I did. This is a comparison. I got it down to 6 panels. Now I'll show a better image of it. But right now, this is what I did. This is the 6 panels. I got rid of one line, rewrote another line, but the mesh is still the same. This isn't the best. This is just showing a way it can be done. I'm not a professional comic writer, although I do want to write comics. But I just want to show that all of this can be avoided and can be turned into this. Because comics, they need 6 to 5... Not 6, what am I saying? 1 to 6 panels per page. Now I have a comic of Dark Minds right here. And you need to make sure the reader knows what's going on, and every panel is interesting to look at. It's through a different angle, different actions happening, different things are being said. The speech bubbles are moving, that it draws the eyes towards that other speech bubble. I'm honestly not the best at explaining things, but there's another comic for an example. I got The Horseman by Riververse Comics. And as you can see, you can tell what's going on. The bubbles lead you in a way, so you don't get lost. Different angles. You're not that confused on where to go next. Now, That was the comic example. But the ones I showed you right now are just action comics, pretty much. I do have some manga that are all talking. They're not action manga. I got Komi Can't Communicate number 35. There we go. You see, every panel is engaging. Something's happening. The speech bubbles lead you, and then here's Hollow X meeting. We get the same thing. So it doesn't matter if there's a lot of text. It's just the way you portray the text and the paneling layout. And I'm pretty sure someone else can explain it a lot better than I can. But I hope this shows how this can be completely avoided, and it can easily be fixed. And if they can get the right people to fix it, I believe it can sell a lot better. The truth is out there, has a lot of potential, and goes over a lot of questions many people have about God. And I would love to promote it positively, because a portion of the sales go to the monks. But because of pacing and paneling of the comic book, I cannot positively recommend it. I even found this book in the return section of the Catholic bookstore I got it at. All this book needs is a remaster. Just have the person who redrew it to draw it with someone to reformat the panels, change the story pacing by adding more story about the characters who we're following to make it more interesting. And I believe this book would sell and do a lot better, because even if it is a comic book, when a child would see this, they're going to see that it has as many words as a Tom Clancy novel. And I love reading novels and comic books, but seeing the comic book makes me tired just looking at it. So I hope in the future they remaster this book and the second book so that they can answer many questions people have in a more entertaining way. If you're interested in Catholic comics about saints, church history, and our superheroes, I recommend Voyage Comics. You can go to my referral link in the description and get 10% off your order. Another company I recommend is Pauline Books and Media. I highly recommend them as well. They have comics and manga style books covering saints and recently the life of Jesus. I will be covering their books in the future videos, so please subscribe so you don't miss it.